Hi guys, this is Feria. I'm here again with info, updates, and unfortunately and very sadly, some inevitable changes in the page, which are quite a deviation from what I always wanted for it. Um, this is because I see so much brutal denial about what has been happening to me, and who knows to how many others. So many heads buried really so deep in the sand that the only part which remains somehow visible from the sand, uh, maybe their shoes. So I'm going to make some changes, and you will see that here in this session and the next one. So this is why I'm sort of resigning actually from some of my ways for now. Uh, I mean, for now, probably I will go back to them. Not sure. Let's see. Because they do not match the reality I'm living. Um, I'm making my voice louder. Not really my style, but this is what you do in Wild Wild West and a deaf sheriff, I guess. Um, there were some videos I wanted to post, but I noticed that I need to make some arrangements, so I'm going to skip this part. And now I'm going to say that there is finally a schedule for the hearing uh, for the complaint I made to workplace to the court against my ex-employer, and that's the reason why it has become more intensive. I think what's happening outside, and they try just to keep me distracted from everything. Well, that doesn't work, unfortunately. Yes, I really wish I got distracted from all this, but well, um, not now yet. Maybe later. So let's see. In the last audio, I talked about reporting an incident with uh, apparently police vehicles on February 3rd. I had reported it to the local equivalent of internal affairs as it is in the United States. Um, this is what I wrote in that email. Well, I'm going to edit some parts, you know, just and those are the parts, for example, that refer to the name of the police or reference numbers and stuff like that. Otherwise, I'm not going to edit anything else. So here it is. Dear officer, I'm emailing you this report following a brief discussion with a police officer, internal affair police officer on phone today. My name is my real name and my real surname. I came to name of the country in the year following a permanent work contract as IT analyst with a name of the country and then company. Before elaborating on the reason for my writing, it is very important for me to let you know that I deeply admire good people in all functions, especially those who deal with more stress and take risk with their own well-being while doing their duty, like uh, police forces and military in different locations. So it is frustrating to face bad apples and or lack of instruments when all we want to do is doing our jobs with integrity, taking pride in our accomplishments and our individual moral values, which helped us to get there. Unfortunately, no job or function seems to be immune to bad apples. I faced it in my job in IT sector too. A few years back, I called a police station, and a female police took my call. During our conversation, uh, she said with passion, I quote, "I am a police because I love this job." I'm writing this to honor her and some of her colleagues I met in different police stations I visited, and also everybody for whom the sight of a police inspires confidence and safety. I'm being heavily harassed since mid 2015, and one of the methods the involved gang uses is siren, usually the siren of an ambulance with which they drive by multiple times during the day. Therefore, I rarely check on it. But yesterday, on February 3rd, 2022, between 12 and 13 p.m., when I heard the siren, looked out of the window and saw the following. And then here I have put a note. I live in, I have put the address, and I have also added that my room faces the road and that traffic was very light. So a white motorbike, biker also were white, was sounding siren while driving slowly. And there was no cars in front of it. In front of a slim khaki van, no signs on it, with the exception of a narrow light-colored stripe along the length. Behind the van, two other identical motorbikes and motorbikers, and behind them, uh, three cars, which I recognized as together with some others, they have been harassing me since mid 2015. The presence of the gang was not by accident. I have had witnessed and caught on video similar formations since it all started. A motorbiker in front, two or three cars following, another motorbike behind. They usually change their formation every time I describe it on Extreme Bullying the Anatomy on Facebook. I created this page in 2020 to raise awareness and also to tell my side of the story, including pictures, videos, and educational material. No matter how they try to transform the formation, the motorbikers are always present. Um, what I witnessed yesterday was disturbing because it involved or appeared to involve my favorite people. I imagined a bad person capable of accessing resources to which only police and similar organizations in name of the country are supposed to have access to. Think of the unimaginable stress level of whoever they approached to get that vehicle, uh, those motorbikes and uniforms. In some other occasions, cars with no marks, plainclothes police cars, question mark, siren installed unlawfully, again another question mark, would sound the siren, pass through with speed to show up the next day. Anyway, any vehicles used by law enforcement represents something more than just a vehicle. It is like a badge, has to be protected. I'm not trying to sanctify anybody. During all these years, I have had to go through the situation by my own in name of the country. Of course, with some help from a friend of mine in name of the country, one of my countries, but not in here, where I needed and do need that protection. Despite my constant reports, I'm invisible on the on police database. No record showing that I ever approached anybody about the situation. All that said, I pride myself in my capability and willingness to judge people on the basis of individuals, not part of herd, which, in my opinion, is crucial for honoring those who deserve it and creating a more livable and unbiased society. I remain with my firm intention to advocate for fairness and not to let the circumstance to blur my best judgment. Below, please find a link to a study published in 2020 on gang stalking. And here I have added a link to that study. And then thank you very much for reviewing this writing, and please feel free to contact me and so on and so on. So this was the email I wrote. And then on March 10th, I received a letter from that office, local internal affairs, and this is what it said. Um, Again, I'm not going to read the information that like reference number, names, and locations. So anyways, there is my reference number, then there is my name, my address, the date, March 9th, 2022, and dear Mr. and my last name. Well, it's the first time anybody called me Mr. Here says I'm directed by the uh, police commissioner. This is a different name, but I'm not going to say that. To advise you that your complaint, which was received on February 3rd, 2022, is inadmissible on the grounds that the behavior alleged is not of such a nature that it would, if proved, amount to a breach of police discipline as provided for in schedule number, and then the name of the article, the date, and everything. Um, the police made this decision based on the information provided by you when you lodged your complaint. Actually, mine was not a complaint really, so this is not written here. It was more like an information, um, or I would like to call it whistleblowing. That sounds good. So back to the letter. Following a detailed examination of your complaint, the police has determined that it is inadmissible on the grounds that you do not appear to have engaged directly with the police referred to in your correspondence. On this basis, the short form of their name is of the opinion that the police complained about were engaged in carrying out normal policing duties, and there is nothing in your description of events which would indicate misconduct on their part. And here says the police commissioner will be notified of this decision. And then here there is something else. Inadmissible complaints are not reviewed by the commission unless new information which was not previously available comes to light and is submitted in writing. And then is in accordance with section, name of a section, will take no further action in relation to this complaint. and any queries should be directed to an email address here, as the casework unit are currently working remotely. And then um, uh, yours sincerely, signed by case manager, and so on. So I had never felt this level of a disappointment in my life. This was really something very special. Uh, why? Well, firstly, and secondly, and thirdly, because it says in that letter that, in the brackets, uh, the police complained about were engaged in carrying out normal policing duties, closed bracket closed. Oh my God, they are admitting those were part of police force. That's terrible. No matter if I guessed or I knew, but knowing it so clearly, said by internal affairs is really bad. Is really bad. So, and the fact that they don't even want to know what could bring some people in the force to unite with the United Nations of gang stalkers, and why they don't want to know some really important people in the country have to offer the country actually and its safety and the safety of the people living in there, myself as well, uh, on a silver platter to these mercenaries. Well, anyways, now the fourth. That it's another part. It says again in bracket, you do not appear to have directly engaged with the police referred to in your correspondence. Bracket closed. An exclamation mark. I have put it there. So my question is, aren't you even slightly curious about the information and the links I provided? Don't you want to know what happens in the city? This is where you are living there too. Or is there any other reason you don't want to? Anyways, this was really, really disappointing, honestly. I have to confess that I have always had a sort of affection for forces. Um, I mean, everywhere I went, and even though I had seen a clear interference from gang stalkers, almost every time I went to a police station here, I thought the police here is not protected enough to allow them to do their job well. And which, by the way, I have understood that is the truth. That's such a pity. Um, I saw the embarrassment of a local police member, for example, who had to suddenly change the course of an interview that officer had with me just because a certain person. And then in the north side of Dog, every time I went to the police station in that area, a skunk biker made loud noises, and a car honked the horns continuously from outside the station. And the police never did anything. They didn't even go to look what's happening, probably because they knew already what's happening, and probably they were intimidated by all these gangs. And actually, I think the gangs outnumber the police and all the forces. It has to be exactly the opposite. Okay, this is uh, out of the script. So I never got interviewed there, and almost all officers I met there asked me for the reg numbers, the registration, the car's registration numbers. Despite all the explanations I had actually forced to them because they were not really willing to listen. Probably they knew because I think I was quite famous. Oof, I never wanted to be famous, not like this and not any other way. So, um, and what they did, they asked that specific question just to practically dismiss the case because they knew that there was no answer for it. Um, the time I went to the police station after I moved to the south side of the city where I live now, a skunk followed me inside the station, and only after I asked the officer to speak privately, the officer asked him to wait outside. But that officer never invited me to take a report. Um, Apart from that, normal people, not those others, others, would be persuaded by being invited to take part in the crusade like this only if an authority asked for it. An influential member of the community, like a police officer or um, a leader of some kind, and somebody that people consider um, good enough to be followed and um, to do what they're asked, but really never ever fall for the for how the people seem to be. I mean, how the people definitely not for their function, definitely not. Um, so practically people everybody wants to trust. Um, unfortunately or fortunately, I can feel the pain of the good ones in the forces. They deserve way much better, and I hope one day somebody will give that to them. So the other matter was about vaccination. It seems that some procedures were not supposed to happen at all. The way they did, well, this is not a surprise. Um, it's still ongoing. So let's see how it plays out. Um, Today I had an interesting conversation with somebody. I had received a grocery delivery, and it it had, of course, some issues, um, as they usually do in my case. Um, that person suggested to do the grocery shopping myself by going to the shop, and I said that I have very little time, and also I'm not very happy to be around skunks. Um, at some point, I compared my situation, the situation I have here, to the situation in Ukraine. And that person responded, it is not the same. I responded back that and the only difference was that bombs and missiles made noise and killed at once, but the situation I am in is practically murdering a person slowly and in long run. Really sadistic. No, I didn't say really sadistic to that person, so I added it right now. I also mentioned that only in the future we will know to what extent this situation has affected my health. I think both physically or and mentally. Well, this last one I didn't tell that person either. Um, Anyways, I see a lot of similarity between my life and the situation in Ukraine. Um, invaders at attack invaders who attack us. I mean, both Ukraine and me have larger forces than we have. So Russians are stronger than Ukrainians, and of course, these skunks, uh, these mercenaries, practically are stronger than me, definitely. Nevertheless, both Ukraine and we fight back honorably. And actually, President Zelensky and myself are two of my favorite heroes. Now, back to that conversation. I guess this is how many people see the whole thing. Unfortunately, the truth is, if there are gang stalkers in a country, anybody could be their next target. If Russians invade Ukraine without slightest concern over treaties and consequences, it could attack any other country, right? I wonder if that should happen here. These Brazilians, East Europeans, and other mercenaries will help uh, or refuge to their next safe haven. Well, meanwhile, happy death, Sheriff. Thanks for being here. Take care.